Well, Happy New Year, everyone. I know it's a couple of weeks in, but it still is Happy New Year on Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. I am so delighted to be in the Zoom booth today with my dear friend Teresa Osman. We're going to talk all things wellness, all things for the new year, and some great stuff that's happening in our community. Hey, my friend, how are you? Welcome to the
Kathy,
program.
oh yes, I'm great. I'm glad that you're good too, and Happy New Year. It's off to a bang.
It's off to a bang. And I got to tell you, I'm grateful that we've had a bit of sunshine now. I mean, I know that the first couple of weeks of January were cold and wet and all of that. And I thought, what a way to start the new year. We need the sun. Now the sun is out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tell us what sunshine is happening in your work world because you have
Well,
the wellness news and the wellness minute. Tell us a whole bunch about what's going on with the hub,
oh
all that good
yes,
stuff.
yes, I have got wellness is what I'm about, health and wellness, and I think that's something that everybody needs more of in their lives. So, almost 9 years ago, we started publishing the Wellness News, Choices of Healthy
Wow.
Living. And we have 5 editions now on kind of the lower Vancouver Island from Qualicum Beach down to Victoria. In Victoria, it's actually called Seniors News, powered by Wellness News. And it's just shares health and wellness information and tips and events. And you can pick it up at numerous locations. All the Tim Hortons have them. Anywhere where you go for health and wellness, the health centers, the hospitals, just anywhere. And pick it up. And I feature a Sudoku every month too. That's for brain health.
Yeah, Sudoku's a good thing. I've tried to do Sudoku. I've got to tell you, I would not pick up your magazine for that. Not because, or not magazine, but your
Newsletter.
newsletter, because I have not never been able to actually do Sudoku. When I do it, there's the eraser hole that goes right through the paper. I can't do Sudoku at all. However, you also, I think, have horoscopes and other fun stuff on your newsletter as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's just lots of health and wellness events and seminars and there's just a wide variety of information, like right from pharmacists to energy healers to nursing services that are available in Victoria free of charge. You don't have
Wow.
a family doctor, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's just a little bit of everything.
So have you noticed in the last few years, because 9 years is a long time to be doing this,
Yeah.
right? So I'm curious about trends. Have you seen people begin to look for certain things more in 2025 than maybe they did in, 5 years ago or 6 years ago? What's happening in the way of wellness?
Well, what we hear from our readers certainly is that people are looking for alternatives to prescriptions and taking medications for things. They certainly are looking for alternatives, and that's what Wellness News is about. Is showcasing the alternatives that are out there. And I'm a strong believer in Western medicine. I believe in Eastern medicine. I think they complement each other. So that's people are looking for that. They're also looking for information in seminars. So people learn in different ways. As a teacher, you know that, Kathy.
Absolutely.
Some people read. Some people want to see a video. Some people want to attend in-person events or go to a seminar or a workshop. So that they want to know about those health and wellness events that they can attend in the community, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And so the trend is really to get more educated than
Yeah.
ever before. Yeah.
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 And what we've noticed as far as our advertisers who are coming into the newsletter, they're more like kinesiology, neuro movement practitioners, Rolfing practitioners, people that do estate planning, but not just the financial side, but the emotional side. We have a death doula who's part of our newsletter in Victoria. I mean, all people are looking for support in all kinds of different areas now.
And that was one of the reasons why you created the Wellness Hub, right? And so tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about the hub and why it's such an incredible resource for everyone in the community.
So we created the Wellness Hub during COVID because our newsletters were usually available out in the community. But of course,
Mhm.
That wasn't possible. So we had to go to a Canada Post model, which was then delivered to certain post boxes or houses. And we still wanted people to have information. So we created the Wellness Hub, which is a directory. It's a business directory, but it's got articles, videos, podcasts, events and products and all kinds of things. And anyone can access it. And it's at wellnessnews dot excuse me, I'm gonna start again. Wellness.news.
Wow.
Wellness.news is and some people think, well, is that a URL? It is. And long gone are the days where it had to be .ca or .com, right? So it's wellness.news. And any health and wellness business can register for free for a basic listing. And then there's opportunities to be able to post more information and products, articles, events for a small cost every month. But it's free for anyone to go and use the resource.
So I can tell you that I love that resource because working with older adults within the community, working with families in the community, I have found it to be really an invaluable resource. It's a place where I can send people when they are not entirely sure what it is that they're looking for. They know that they want to understand what options are available for them as it relates to health care and health support services. But I want to remind people that wellness isn't just about our health. Wellness is a multi-dynamic kind of part of our everyday existence. And so when you think about health, Teresa, like, is there one part, like, I know you have to kind of have all of, in order to be healthy, you need all of them. But is there
Yeah.
one that you find from time to time that because I know I do, where you find that maybe you're lacking in that one area and that you need to concentrate on that. And if you don't, all the others kind of tumble a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
for you, do you find that? Tell me
Yeah,
about,
I do find that.
yeah,
And for
yeah.
me, it's food, nutrition, food choices.
Ah, yeah.
And as we get older, I think we all struggle a little bit with menopause, weight, the body starts shifting, the things that we used to be able to eat and the quantities we can't anymore.
No.
And so it is so important to make sure that if you're going to decrease the quantity of food, it makes sure that you keep the nutritious stuff and not the chips and the Coke so much, right?
Exactly. But I think that that's a difficult thing for everybody, that those
Yeah,
choices are not easy for people to make. But you're absolutely right. You need a denseness of nutrition if you're having smaller food choices,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
how do you balance that? I have always found a challenge when it comes to food as being, because I'm autoimmune deficient. And so what happens is my body doesn't absorb nutrition the same way that others do. So I'm constantly concentrating on that. But for me, when I think about the whole bandwidth of health options, I find for me it's exercise that is
Oh,
really my problem. And that I just find myself I don't know about you, but I find as I'm getting older, I find myself sitting in my chair as I'm doing this
yeah,
recording. I'm in
yeah,
my living
yeah.
room in my, this is the spot I'm in from 8 in the morning until 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And it's exercise. It's getting my body moving. Is there any new trends in that physical side of things that we can start paying attention to?
Well, certainly getting out, especially when we have the sunny days that we've been having here on the Central Island. I think pretty well the whole island's had it. Uh, Getting out, and for me, exercise is not an issue. Everyone has something, right, to use
Absolutely.
exercise. For me,
Absolutely.
it's more food. But I first thing in the morning when I get up, I go out for a hike every single morning, Monday to Friday. It's like 7:30. I'm out there and I'm out there for an hour and a half, and it doesn't matter what the weather's doing. I just dress appropriately. A friend of mine once said to me, she said, "There's no bad weather, there's only bad clothing."
That's true. That's true. There's no bad weather. There's only bad clothes. I actually don't mind going out in the rain so
I
much.
didn't
It's the
either.
cold that gets me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? Just before we started recording, You told me about Fort Mac being minus 48. So our
Absolutely.
-2 in the sunshine this morning just doesn't seem so bad.
Exactly. And it's a very different cold as well. You know, up in Fort Mac and in Alberta and the Eastern Canada, it's a dry cold, which is very, very different. But I can't cope with that cold, no matter what. I just can't. And the moisture in the cold here, I have struggle with as well. But that doesn't mean, you know, I have a walking machine. It's in my garage, right? Like you know, and I know that there are people do their New Year's resolutions and they say, you know, I'm going to exercise a little bit more often. I'm going to eat a lot better. And usually they make that resolution on January 1st. And by January 2nd, they've already, you know, stepped off that wagon. So I've chosen over the years to stop making resolutions and just try every day to do one
Yeah,
small thing,
yeah,
you know, to
yeah.
kind of keep myself out. And if I can do that one small thing, they actually, you know, end up becoming bigger. Now, one of the things that our listeners may not know, I believe that they do, to be honest with you, but if they're watching our program on Act 3 and Act 3 on CHLY 101.7, we also have Act 3 on television. And
Right.
Teresa has been one of our hosts for a good long time now. And you've had some really interesting guests over the last little while. And so I'm encouraging our listeners to maybe think about going over to the station and watching some of your interviews because they really are quite extraordinary. Talk to us about the lady that you just had, Cassandra, on our most recent episode.
Yes, I had Cassandra Unger on, and she is a registered counselor. And she, along with counseling, which is more of a talk modality, she does biofield tuning, which works with the frequencies of the body. And counseling isn't only words. Sometimes our body sends a different message. And she actually can go out in your frequency and your biofield out to when you were born to see kind of what disturbances you've had that could contribute to some grief or trauma or anxiety that you're experiencing today, and she can clear it. And before I interviewed Cassandra, I went for a biofield tuning because I wanted to know exactly when I'm talking to her. I don't want to sound completely ignorant. So I went for one. It was a couple of days before the TV recording, and I'm pretty good. I don't feel like I have a lot of grief or trauma, but I went for the session, and the following morning was a Tuesday morning. I went walking. I had my regular Tuesday morning ladies who joined me, and I just wanted to go. I just wanted to go. And for the first half, I kind of held back and I thought, no, I'm going. And I went, and they're calling me, going, Teresa, what's going on? I go, I just need to go. And I just felt that they were going so slow. Well, I got to the end of the hike, and it was like the one of the fastest time I had ever done this hike in.
Wow.
And yeah, and they came in about 2 or 3 minutes after me, and it was fast for them too. So somehow I had this extra energy, and I didn't understand what it was for or why. And then I talked to Cassandra and I told her, and she says, "Yeah," she says, "that's energy. Quit clearing your biofield and clearing frequencies, and yeah, that's one of the side effects. So it's
What
amazing."
what I found so interesting about it is she brought on the tools on the show
Yeah,
and she was showing how this tuning fork, you know, was, you know, from a distance, she was able to hear the different sounds, right, of the way that the tuning fork would hit. She
yeah,
used a hockey puck, which I thought was hilarious, right?
yep.
I thought that was so cool.
Only a
But,
Canadian hockey puck,
and a
Kathy,
Canadian hockey puck at
because
that.
because it's made out of rubber. Apparently, the ones they use in the U.S. aren't made of rubber.
What are they made of?
I
Plastic?
don't, I don't know. Hard
Oh my
plastic.
gosh,
I don't
I
know.
thought all hockey pucks were made of
So
rubber.
did I.
Oh my God, holy mackerel. Anyway, however, when she hit it, she actually it did make these very distinctive
Yeah.
sounds. And then she came and did a bit of a demonstration on your body and she showed a couple of the points where you would, you know, use this and how it could clear that energy. And you know, for me, you know, I don't understand the science behind all of that.
Right.
So for me, it was really interesting to learn about it because I thought, you know, we need to really open our minds to the kinds of resources that are available for our health and wellness,
Yeah, I
because
do.
there's so much in the universe that we simply don't know.
So, and
And just because
sometimes,
you can't see it doesn't
yeah,
mean, you know, go ahead. Sorry.
sometimes we don't need to understand it.
Exactly.
It's I had this explained to me one time. A person said to me, "Do you know how your mobile phone works?" And I go, "Well, not really." He says, "Do you need to know? You just know it works, right?" And I go, "Yeah." Do you need to know? No, I don't need to know. And sometimes a lot of the different modalities, you need to hear about them and then decide, yes, this is something I want to try, and this is something that I believe could work. Believing in it working is more than half the battle.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and
Believing
it's
that
the
it could
same,
happen is more than half the battle.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's same
Sure.
with medication. Even you get from the doctor prescription, if you don't think it's going to work, there's a less likelihood that it's going to work. Or a surgery, if you're going into surgery and you don't think you're going to live, a surgeon will tell you that the chances are you're not going to.
I want to talk about that because I think that the mental health component of all things to do with our overall health is such a critical piece. I've been hearing I don't know about you, but for myself, when the weather is cold and bad, I never really was diagnosed and I don't really suffer from it badly, but I do have to force myself to get outside during those cold several weeks at a time where it's cold because I get a bit of the cabin fever, that.
Yeah.
And while I'm not a person that gets depressed, I know a lot of people that are. And you're absolutely right. If you don't think something is going to work for you, chances are it's just not going to work for
Mhm.
you. And so, what would you say to people that are nervous about trying things and really don't know whether they should? Like was it easy for you to make the decision, for example, Teresa, to go and see Cassandra and say, let's
Yeah.
find out, let's check it out.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is way back in the early 90s, I completely Western medicine. It was nothing other than Western medicine for
Sure.
me.
Sure.
And I had some issues from an accident that I had as a youngster, and I lost some mobility in one of my arms. I couldn't lift my arm. And so a chiropractor was recommended to me. Now this is over 30 years ago, right? And then at that point, I don't know, many people remember chiropractors were seen as quacks.
They
They
were.
were they were completely like
I love
way
them, but
out
they
there,
were way out there.
right?
Yeah.
30, oh, it was 30 years ago. And so I went and I have full mobility. I'm lifting my arms. I've got full mobility now because I saw a chiropractor intensively, but I got it. And I started, believing more in okay, some maybe it's not all Western. And then of course when I started Wellness News 9 years ago, and then was exposed to a lot more. I really became a convert. I do Western, Eastern, whatever I need to do. But I think that people, uh, in order to try new things, is like be curious and read about things. Like the Wellness News is a really good place to learn about new things. And when my advertisers come in, there's editorials. Some get them every month, some of them every second month. But this is the opportunity to teach people about new things, like rolfing. I didn't know very much about rolfing, and every month, there's a little bit about rolfing and what it can do, and kinesiology or neuro movements. So be curious and then call. Many of the practitioners offer a free consultation, no obligation. Go in or talk to them on the phone and find out. Even energy healing, emotional code, uh, a lot of frequency things, just to talk up to them. And yes, the cost could be $50 to $100. And if you
It's
have the
nothing if you
money,
feel
yeah,
better at the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. If you have the money, try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
That's
No
that's
harm, no
all.
foul.
Yeah, that's
I,
all I can commend.
I'm a big believer in trying new things. Like you, for me, it was the same with a chiropractor. I remember them being quacks. And I remember I had been in a very serious car accident 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I was still nursing my son Dakota at the time. I couldn't pick him up. I couldn't hold on to him. Nothing. I was rear-ended by a semi. Uh,
Wow.
3 car lengths ahead. The whole back of my car was wiped out. I had a little Honda Civic, and believe it or not, the truck was only going 5 miles an hour, but it was an 18-wheeler semi. So
Yeah.
you got the weight of that pushing you forward.
50,000 pounds.
It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. And I had gone to physiotherapists because they were starting to be the go-to, right? And they were using AMT and they were using a variety of different electric impulses on the body as well as massage and ice and all of that stuff. And so physiotherapy was the way to go. I got nowhere with the physiotherapist. Like literally I went and I went and I went and I couldn't, like you, I'd had no mobility in my arm. I couldn't hold a cup of coffee. It would fall right through and crash to the ground. Like I had no strength, no nothing. My son, my husband at the time had to bring my kid over to me.
Wow.
I couldn't pick him up, which it was devastating. It was
Oh,
so
sure, of
challenging.
course.
I went to a chiropractor, 3 sessions, I had full mobility. And I had always said I'll get rid of my health practitioner, my general practitioner for my chiropractor any day of the week. But at the end of the day, there are some things that work for some people, but they don't
Yes.
work well for others. And so I think it's really, really important that you investigate for yourself, consult your family practitioner, consult the professionals, and ask them.
Okay.
And then, make decisions with knowledge. Don't just go out and, make mistakes like that because you can cause a lot of problems.
One of my advertisers who came in February, she's in the Northern Ireland Parksville Qualicum edition of the Wellness News. She is a neuro movement practitioner,
Mm,
Laura Friesen, and she was a physiotherapist for years. So
mm,
she's trained, it's a university degree physiotherapist. She realized that movement isn't only movement in a specific spot. Everything connects to the brain.
yes,
It
of
makes
course.
sense, right? But
Of course.
so you have a pain or you have um, a stiff arm. It isn't only the arm that needs help, it's also the connection. And so that is why she trained us in neuro movement. And it's very new, it's a new modality. But so she uses her physiotherapy training and the neuro movement training to really get mobility back. And so it was fascinating to me. I'd never heard of it.
I think neuro movement, it would be, it's logical to me because
Yeah,
it's true. It's your brain as
yeah,
well that talks to all of
yeah,
all of the muscles in your body. And it's the least paid attention to.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
even issues um, with any other part of the body could be a mental illness.
Hmm.
It could be a concussion that you had 30 years ago or 40 years ago. The athletes are experiencing a lot of that now, where something is not quite right with the brain and it shows itself elsewhere in the body. It's not just
Yes.
isolated of the brain.
You bring up a really good point about concussion because years ago, concussion wasn't paid attention to
No,
hardly at all. And
wasn't.
now it's very critical that we take a look at what happens when the body experiences a concussion and how it translates all the way through. I'm curious, Teresa, what brought you into this work to begin with? Like, why did you decide to go into wellness? I'm sure you're a very talented woman. There's a million things you could do. Why health and wellness? What brought you here?
Well, Kathy, I am a marketing expert. I have a university degree in marketing. I worked with entrepreneurs and big companies and small companies, doing market research, doing market planning, helping them with promotions, all kinds of things for years. Plus, I put on large events all over the world. And so when the idea of the wellness news was brought to me by my husband because he had seen one in another part of Canada, in Manitoba. We were already on the island. I started looking at that and I talked to my sister, who's also on the island here, and we had elderly parents, mid 80s, and they were on the doctor prescription pill roller coaster.
Yeah.
Oh, dizzy. Oh, here's a pill. Oh, cause stomach upset. Oh, here's a pill. And we were very concerned because everything had side effects, and we were looking for alternatives for them, and it was really hard to find information.
Yeah.
so what happened was I convinced my sister that we should do this. I use my marketing background to help advertisers come up with content for their ads, help them with the writing of the editorials, get information out there, right? But on a smaller scale. So I'm working with many for a short period of time instead of working with one client for months or years.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was a really good marriage of resources and of experiences. My sister had a sales and a kind of a computer programming background, so we were able to just set up processes that worked really well for us. And uh, yeah,
It was
yeah,
born.
yeah.
Wow. Good
And
for
so
you.
then, and I know this is where we're going to go, maybe after a song. I don't know if you've got a song plan, but to talk about events, because my background in events from planning all over the world led to me putting on events here on the island.
Well, that's a great segue, to be honest with you. I don't do a music interlude on this program. It's just all talk. It's all
Okay.
us. It's all of that. However, I do take a little bit of a station identification, and I will do that right now. So if you have just tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in to CHLY 101.7 FM. It is the greatest radio station, full stop, because we have wonderful shows. And at this time of year, we also think about how we can improve our shows and how we can support this. You know, CHLY 101.7 FM, like many community radio stations, cannot do this without donations from our community. And we really do feel that this show and many others that you listen to on CHLY 101.7 FM could not happen without your support. So if you've got a couple bucks kicking around, may I encourage you to go to us on our website, chly.ca, and think about a way that you may want to donate and become a regular donator. Once a month, you can donate $5, $10, whatever it is. All of those dollars really do help us to make sure that we can keep this show on for you. And by the way, if you love Act Three as much as we love Act Three and I love Act Three and bringing to you these great shows and our amazing guests, I encourage you to check us out on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is go to Act Three Media Productions. You will find us on YouTube. We upload as soon as this show has been processed, it goes up on YouTube. So if you've missed anything or you want further information, you know how to get it. All you've got to do is join our YouTube channel. And please do listen to us on iHeartRadio and on Spotify. I have, this is our, I don't even know how many seasons this is on our radio program. I've been at it now for about 8 years. This is a long time for me to be doing this show, but what I appreciate more than anything in the whole world is you tuning in every Monday at 1 o'clock. So thank you, Happy New Year, and welcome back to Act Three and my guest, Teresa Osman. Teresa, I just, we worked together for years now. You had a show on Chile for quite a long time as well. You know, all of these things that we do in community help to get the information out there. And you're a conduit for information, not only with the Wellness News publication, but also with the Wellness Hub. But you also, just as we were about to go for that station identification, we started talking about, events. And I know that there are some big ones coming. Let's start talking about what took
Yeah.
you around the world to do events and how you landed in Nanaimo, bringing the shows that you brought here.
So when we had the Wellness News Choice Felt to Live in the newsletter, so that was one way for people to get information, was to pick it up and read. And as we were mentioning earlier, not everybody learns in the same way. And so when there was an opportunity to do a wellness
Excuse me.
expo here in Nanaimo, of course, I jumped on it. And my sister said, I said, Samala, I've done events. I've done events for 2,500 people in various places all over the world. I think I can do this. I think it would be a really good addition and get people to absorb information in different ways. And so we had the first, it was a women's wellness expo
Yes.
in February of 2018. And then we went on to have a health expo in the fall, and we've had several. Of course, we had a bit of a pause during COVID, but we're back on now. We're back for a couple of years. And it's the Wellness Expo coming up on March 22nd in Nanaimo. And we've got 70 plus exhibitors there. We've got health talks, door prizes. It's free to attend. Just amazing information. And the variety of exhibitors is as wide ranging as everything on the wellness.news on the hub or on Wellness News Choice of Healthy Living newsletter, just a wide variety. And those events, um, we usually ask for some feedback from people when they enter the door prize draws, and they're coming back year after year. Some of them I recognize. They come up to me and say, thank you for bringing these, and I like to thank my exhibitors because they're really the ones that are there and sharing their information, making it possible. They're costly to put on, and so the
Yeah.
exhibitors they pay a fairly small amount, and have the opportunity to meet hundreds of attendees, and then also provide health talks. Many of them probably have about 10 health talks, and the a variety of health talks is amazing. We're just putting the talks in place in February, so people need to tune in to wellness.news/expo, and then it's all going to be there closer to the date. And of course, there's information going to be in the Wellness News. There's going to be we always do put it up in the bulletin, and we put an ad in the Nanaimo magazine, and we're out there. So yeah,
So everyone
find
gets
it
a
a
chance
lot.
to figure it out. So you said that it's happening on March the 22nd. Is that going to be at the convention center again, or is it at Bevan Park?
It's at Bevan.
It's at
Yeah,
Bevan this
it's
year.
at Bevan. When we ask for feedback from advertisers, exhibitors, as well as attendees, they like Bevan. They like Bevan because it's an easy parking right there. There's free parking, easy access. There's no stairs. There's no elevator. There's no trying to figure out where to go.
Absolutely. It's huge. That makes all the difference in the
It
world.
does. And
Yeah,
especially our attendance at the Wellness Expo is usually 30 to 70-year-olds, but by no means am I excluding anybody because anybody can come.
of course, of course.
And especially the older adults find it's just an easier place to come to. The BC pensioners put
Mhm.
on the cafeteria, so you can get soups and salads and wraps, and so you can stay the whole day, and then you can go to many health talks, and we have people who stay the whole day.
Well, and also what I love about it is that that I don't know if you're doing it this year. I mean, obviously I've been following this for years. We brought our Shaw crew to film,
Mhm.
well, years back when it was at the convention center, and also actually when it was at Bevan. So we've been around doing it with you for a long, long time. But for a few years there, before COVID, there was the afternoon tea that was put on by the old age pensioners. Is that
Yeah.
happening ever again, or is that, I mean, it was such a popular event.
Well, that event was actually at the Nanaimo Senior Services Seniors Health Fair.
Ah, my mistake, of course.
And
That's
that's okay. And that takes place in October. It was in the fall. It was a huge success. It was an amazing event. And it's going to come back in October. Mel from Medicine Shop is there. He gives flu shots, and he did COVID shots this past year, and just a wide variety. Most of the exhibitors are really aimed at seniors in
yes,
that one.
yes, yes.
And so it was a tea. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm president of the Nanaimo Senior Services Network. You are a
Yes,
former president,
I am, and that's
and
true.
and we'll see. Maybe if we get enough requests, we'll bring it back. That's a true labor of love
It really was. And
by the
the
society.
OAP, they're such a good group of people, without a
Yeah.
doubt. That the old age pensioners on Labio Road have changed their name now to something else. What is their new name?
Labio Seniors Center,
Labio
but
Senior Center.
it's still BC pensioners. But I don't know about you, Kathy. We're both in our 60s now,
Mhm.
and as we get older, we don't really want to be called the old age pensioners.
No, no, I don't actually. I've worked with older adults for many years, and the whole old age pensioner thing was really a turnoff,
Yeah,
especially since the Labio Senior Center does so many wonderful things
yeah,
for older adults within the community. There's, cards and, crib and
yeah.
games galore. There's,
Oh, yeah,
workshops and, there's just so much to
yeah.
get involved in that way.
Yeah, and I think I'm in my 60s now. As I get older, older gets older. Like 80 is older. If I hear of someone's passed that they're 78, I think, oh,
Oh,
that's
you're
so
so
young.
young.
That's so young because I
Me
can
too.
see it in my 10 years, 15 years, it's
Yes,
not that
yes,
far.
yes. I choose not to look in that mirror. I really try to avoid that where possible, no doubt. But one thing that I do know is that as I've gotten older, my needs for healthcare have changed and my needs for this support. So,
Yeah.
for a long time, I didn't participate in massage therapy. I now find that massage therapy is arguably one of the greatest
Yeah.
gifts that I've given myself.
Yeah.
I had no idea how tight my shoulders had gotten, especially from sitting in a chair all day, which we
Yeah.
talked about earlier. The body starts to fall in ways that I really wish it wouldn't as we've gotten older. But having health opportunities to be able to augment, I'm like you, and like your parents. I don't want a bunch of medicine. I don't want to take a bunch of pills right now. There's so much that's going on right now when it comes to healthcare and so many options that are available. It's worth researching. For yourself, like I said, we were talking about earlier of some of the trends and things that were happening. Would you say in the last few years or since you turned 60, that there's one form of healthcare that you wouldn't live without now, that maybe you could have done without before, but you just can't live without it now?
Well, Kathy, for the past probably 15 years, I have religiously gone for a massage every month,
Every month.
religiously.
Yeah, yeah.
And during COVID, it was the 3 months when I couldn't go, right? We were very lucky here. There are areas of Canada that couldn't go for a year or more, right?
Exactly.
So those 3 months, I noticed the difference. And unless you have a break from something, sometimes you think, well, maybe this isn't doing so much for me, right?
Yes.
But I go religiously every month, and I know my body is better for it. And as I get a little further into 60s and 70s, I'm going to keep doing that. I also do a chiropractor every 4 to 5 weeks, and
Get a tune-up.
it's purely for maintenance.
Yeah.
And if I mention to somebody, oh, I got a chiropractor appointment, they go, oh, what's the matter? And I go, nothing's the matter. They go, well, why are you going? Isn't that just a money grab? They'll actually say those words. And I go, no, no one tells me I have to, but my body is better. I, a couple of years ago, I was running in the forest. I was running because somewhere I had read that you run for a minute and then walk for a minute, and that's better. And I felt really tired one morning, but I was determined, no, I'm doing this. And I was running and I tripped and I went flying and I landed on my chin, like kind of, I turned my head a little bit, landed on my chin and caught myself a little bit with my hands, but my head took a real jolt. And I thought, oh gosh. I called my chiropractor. He says, come in. Because I've had injuries in the past, I've had car accidents. My chiropractor knows that this could be really devastating for me. I came in, I went for 3 appointments that 1 week, and I was fine. And he said to me that the reason that I was able to recuperate and get back so quickly was because I get regular chiropractic care. So things move already. Okay. I had the worst big black bruise on my chin. It was perfectly round. It was there for weeks. It was a real jolt. And
Whoa.
so yeah, so that's what I do. What I've also added this past year, maybe it's already a year and a half, is I do a raindrop essential oil
Yes,
massage
raindrop oils. Yes, yes.
every month. Every month.
And you do that
And
with Jennifer, right?
I do that with
Jennifer
Jennifer
Baker.
Baker. Yeah,
Jennifer Baker is amazing in
she
this. For
is.
those who are listening now and haven't tried her raindrop massage, you will grow centimeters after having
Yeah,
one
yeah.
treatment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Essential oils they're pure, they're organic, and the molecules are very, very small, and they will actually go through the skin. Some people don't realize that the skin is your largest organ. It's not like anything you put on your skin will penetrate into your body. And so you want to be careful on what kind of chemicals you do put on.
Absolutely.
But the oils, I love it, and I have a smell. I think she uses 9 different types of oils, and when I come out of there, sometimes my hair is a little bit oily. I try to plan not to have any appointments for a couple of days because I don't want to have a shower and wash them off. I want to get
All
the
the nutrition that comes
yeah,
out of them, completely
exactly.
understand. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I hear
yeah.
you.
And so I other things I do as needed. Uh, I mean, I do go for an emotion code reading every few months,
What's
and I
that? What's an emotion code read?
emotion code. It's it's clearing sometimes clearing energy, something clearing blockages, and a little bit like biofield tuning. It's just a different way to clear it. Reiki is another way. So I do different things occasionally, and mix it up a little bit. Down in Duncan, uh, it's called Ideally Blissful. They started a light and frequency um, room, and it uses radiate technology and its lights and frequencies. I went for a session. It's a 2 hour session. I was there. I fell asleep during the day. I don't nap. I'm just not a napper. And so I
Neither am
fell
I. Yeah.
asleep. And after an hour, it was like bing. And it was like, whoa. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I've heard of
And
that for sauna therapy when they do the different lights in the sauna therapy. Is that the same kind of thing?
yeah, some of it, I mean, it's all slightly different. Like there's the
Yeah.
red light therapy, and there's yeah, so different frequencies and lights, and yeah, yeah. I don't understand it, but I know that it makes a difference. And sometimes, oh, you're just a little bit more sluggish. Oh, it's good to have a pick me up.
Well, I personally believe in anything that makes you feel good about yourself is a good thing.
Yeah,
Like full stop. I think that it's really critical. And I think self-care is something that we need to talk about. I think that people often associate self-care with a sense of selfishness or it's all about
yeah,
me. Well, if it isn't all about you first, then you're not able to give anything out to anybody else. So you need to be at your prime
it's true.
health in order to be able to give it
Yeah.
off. What do you think about that subject as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's critical. It's critical. Like when you're on a plane, you know,
Yeah,
if the air masks come down, put your own first, right? Put your
yeah.
own because if you're not functioning properly, how can you help your child or your husband or your family? It's that works in every part of life,
So,
really.
so if somebody wants to advertise with you or they want to be a part of your show, let's just take a second. If people can go grab a piece of paper and a pen, as you and I are continuing our conversation, so that we can get people to reach out to you, get the information from the various resources that you have. So we'll get people to go get a pen. But when we come back from that, or when they come back from that in a few moments, we'll give them that. But for yourself, when you think about, where the future holds, because I know that, healthcare in all forms is constantly moving forward. It's constantly progressing. There's new things that are happening all the time. And while we mentioned earlier about that New Year's resolution being a bit, bogus, I'm curious, where do you see health coming in the next couple of years? Where do you see yourself on that learning continuum? What's your interest level, and where does your curiosity lead you?
I'm always curious about what's coming down the pike, so to speak. I learn every month from my advertisers and from wellness.news and what's being posted and what they're writing for the editorial content and information. And I encourage anybody to be curious and take all information from this radio show or from the wellness news or from the TV, Facebook, whatever. Take it all with a grain of salt and do your own research. Don't
Yes.
blindly accept things
Yes.
because you've got to do what works for you. And it's real. Facebook is very concerning to me because there's so much misinformation. Website searches are concerning because you can type anything in, like what do I take for a brain tumor? Right? And there are legitimate sources, and then there are people who do wacky things, and so you've got to research and consider consider this the source and never just blindly accept anything.
You
I
know,
just
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up, and particularly for our younger listeners, because, Chile Radio, of course, is tied to the University of
Right.
or Vancouver Island University. And so, we often have listeners who are university students. And it's interesting to me how, how people are getting their information now and what is reputable and what is not reputable and the dangers that go
Yeah.
with that. And so, hopefully people have a pen and paper in their hand so that you can share with our listeners, a source that is worth taking an extra look at. And to our young people, I really encourage, as you just pointed out, be really cautious when you go to Facebook. Be really cautious when you're going into the internet. We know that you are much more curious than anyone gives you credit for, but be even more diligent along with that curiosity to ensure that the information that you're getting is actually accurate and has science behind it, because there's a lot of stuff out there that is just, could be quite dangerous, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how do people find you?
Uh, Probably the best way is online at wellness.news. That's the URL, wellness.news. In there, there's navigation bar. You can find links to our newsletters, which then have contact information, events and expos. That if you click on that, then you can find the expo information. And of course, wellness.news has all kinds of ways you can search. You can search for different businesses, healthcare. You can search for different articles, topics. There's all kinds of things on there. So that's wellness .news.
And then on March the 22nd at Bevan Park, we
Yes,
have an expo coming.
we do. And I'm just excited to share too that there's a wellness expo coming to Courtney. That's April 26th. And I'm working with Volunteer Couch and down in Duncan on their Healthy Aging Expo. That happens on May 28th. That date's not completely carved in stone yet because they might be doing some upgrading to the floor at the venue. But if you check on wellness.news, the information will be there when the dates are firmed. And of
And,
course,
and people can
NSSN
save it
Healthcare.
too. They can save your tab at the top of your the browser
Yeah,
screen and keep it
yeah.
as a favorite. And then it's easy to go back and forth to all the time for sure. So as we start to wind down, we're not fully wound down yet, but as we start to wind down, there's a couple of things for me that are always really critical when we, end the show and we talk about health and wellness and all of that good stuff. And that's like the wisdom that goes with it. If you could imbibe on our community what you feel are some of the most important elements of wellness as it lands, what thoughts do you have that surround that?
Yeah, everybody should be eating properly and exercising and all that, right? It was should be. If you're not, or if you're not doing as much as maybe you should be, start small. It really starts small. I know often if we decide we want to lose weight, we want to lose it all in the next 2 days, right?
Immediate gratification, they call that.
Right? Yeah,
That's what we want.
it's real, right? And so people go out and they eat what they think is nutritious as like only salads for 2 days. And it's harmful. You can't just eat salads. Or they start trying to run, or they go for a 20-mile hike. Or like, don't do that because you're going to be very discouraged very quickly. You're going to hurt and you're not going to be able to follow through. So start small and with exercise, like around the block. We've heard that for years now. Just start around the block, and then you can slowly go a little bit further, a little bit further. With nutrition, cut out one thing that isn't serving you, like soda. Soda, no, the carbonated soda,
So
the
much
sugar
sugar.
laden is so bad. And what's come out now, Kathy, that I really enjoy is like the bubblies that
Yeah.
have a little bit of flavor, right? And there's numerous different brands. You can buy them President's Choice at Superstore. Just have a little bit of flavor, and you know what? Yeah, they're a substitute. They're not as gratifying at first, but your taste buds will adjust. with a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of lime juice, you know, just to give it a little bit more flavor, a little bit of orange.
And there's no sugar in it. It's just carbonation.
Exactly, exactly. And it's just little things, and even sometimes portion size. Cut down on the portion size. Like at one point in time, my husband, who was 200 pounds, and I was 140 pounds, gradually I started gaining weight because I was eating the same amount of food as he was. Well, my 140-pound body can't eat what
No,
a 200-pound man does.
no, you're not a very big woman. You're not a
No,
very big
right?
woman. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So watch those portions.
Well, and I think people don't really understand how many calories we drink,
No.
right?
Yeah.
A glass of orange juice is the same amount as a full beer.
Yeah.
So for, like if you're going to make your choices, you need to make choices that are more healthy. And a lot of people will drink their calories away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a glass of orange juice doesn't have the fiber to eat. You're way better off eating an orange
The
because
fiber
it has
content.
the
Yeah.
fiber. You're still getting the sugar, but the sugar isn't as bad in an orange because the fiber helps absorb some of the sugar. So it's not the jolt to your system. I remember my dad, who was a type 2 diabetic, he couldn't drink orange juice, but he could eat an orange, right?
Yes. Well, your body processes it differently too.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
does. So yes, that's a very good suggestion is to sort of look at one little thing at a time.
Yeah.
And also, from the overall body, you did point out earlier that, there are various different modalities that can be worked with by practitioners who often will, give a free consultation
Yeah.
or a trial opportunity or a reduced rate to give it a go. It doesn't hurt to give it a go and see whether or not it's something that's right for you. And if it doesn't work, well, that's okay. Move along.
Yeah.
You'll find something that does.
Yeah. Find something that does.
Find something that does. So our New Year's resolution is to be healthy, happy, and whole, and try out something new just for the
Yeah.
heck of it. Would
Try
you agree?
something new. I agree.
There we go.
Try something new.
Try something new. Teresa
Okay.
Osmond, it has been a pleasure to have you on Act Three. Thank you so much for joining us today. We do appreciate it. And for all of our listeners, you can watch her. Yep, you can watch her. You can watch me. You can watch our other hosts on Act Three on Rogers Cable. You'll find that on Channel 4. And it runs 4 times a day, Vancouver Island wide. So it doesn't matter where you're listening to us, you can find us. You can also tune into Rogers itself and look for their live programming, and you'll find us there as well. So listen, you guys, thank you so much for joining us on Act Three today. We will see you next time. It's going to be a great day. I know it. I feel it. But we'll see you next time on Act Three. Bye for now.